Welcome to the Iron Fork of Friday. I'm Dan. Thank you for joining us today, kids. Hopefully, you have enjoyed today so far. We had a couple hours of XCOM Enemy Within there, of RNGesus just hating my existence. Joined today for the Iron Fork, however, with Fourth Oracle. Hello.
Hello, Dan.
RNGesus?
RNGesus!
And there's
I'm
Rob
here for
over
you.
there.
Hello!
Rob understands how much RNGesus can be angry at us.
It hates us.
Hates us.
You must take up your cross, Dan. It is randomly weighted. I stole that one from Rob.
From me!
Thank you, Rob.
Plagiarist.
I love each and every one of you a different random amount.
But most of the time, it's just horrible in our favor.
Oh my god.
And by horrible
so we're
in our
getting
favor,
an
I
Iron
mean
Fork
not.
here today, guys. Guns of Icarus action. It's happening. It's happening. Now, we have had some updates and changes. Oracle, you are our local expert. Our
Indeed.
local expert in everything that is Guns of Icarus.
All right.
And I mean everything.
I will accept this title. reluctantly.
Besides the flamethrower update.
Mhm.
Which, as people know, the flamethrower is now overpowered as fuck.
Yeah.
Good.
It is going to be a very burny flavored Iron Fork today, as one can imagine. What else has been changed? What else has been updated?
I actually have not looked at the patch notes yet. Why don't I look? Like, if you'll believe it. Let's see, I'm looking at them right now. I knew about the flamethrower change, the portable flak, army distance. Yep, the smaller flak. They just buffed it up. They gave it a little bit of what it needed. They gave it faster reloading time, so it deals more reliable damage. They change the arming distance, which is huge. It's going to make it a lot more effective in closer range. So it will be a decent pair to something like Lesmot Gatling or Heavy Clip Gatling. So we might be seeing some Heavy Clip Gatling coming up again, paired with the Echidna. I mean, we heard pro players talking about it a little while ago, or competitive players, I should say, saying that they really like the Echidna. It just is a little bit outshined by a couple of other guns. Like the utility is a little bit stronger and stuff like the Artemis, and that's why
Sure.
that's usually favored. But the patch really got rid of a lot of the weaknesses of the flak, so it's going to be a lot stronger. The max range was increased.
Oh, yeah?
There were just a lot of really nice changes that it really needed. And so now, if you have an experienced good gunner, might be a good idea to start taking a flak if you're looking for a slightly longer range kill. Might be seeing it paired with the Hades. It's a definite possibility. Harpoon made a little bit better, so now you can actually pull enemies in. I'm curious if we're going to see it on the port side of a galleon. That would be kind of fun. I mean, there was a lot of talk about people doing that, doing a little bit more, but because it was so broken and it just didn't work, nobody used it. But now we might be seeing it a little bit more, pulling enemies in close. So we might see some brawling port sides instead of brawling starboard side all the time.
Okay.
It's possible. I mean, I see it as a possibility. I'd expect to see it from the balloons. For those of you who know what I'm talking about, Puppy Fur's galleon flying is extremely aggressive. He tends to charge in and do those huge galleon rams. So maybe we ought to plant the seed of that thought into Puppy Fur's mind. I'm looking, flamethrower is just really powerful now. It's so good.
How so? Because I'm looking at the patch notes, and it looks like a lot of the numbers were actually reduced. Is it just because of the hit detection bug?
We'll see. We have the harpoon duration to 5 seconds. Okay, so that's okay. You're usually firing it over and over again. The rope length was increased, though. The range was increased. And the reload speed is going to take longer, but basically the harpoon will actually pull people in harder now. So you don't necessarily need it to stay on for a very long time. It's just going to grab them and pull them off course and closer to you. So That's really what it needed in the first place anyway. Because before, so you look at the numbers. So I want to point something out. You look at the force increased to 270,000 newtons. It used to be 20,000. That is greater than a factor of 10.
Wow.
That like increase. So
Wow.
when you land a harpoon, it's not just, oh yeah, it's kind of messing with you. No, it's yanking you. It's like so they've changed it from being sort of a steady, gentle pull to a massive tug. Not only is that going to make it, not only is that going to give it offensive utility, but it's also going to give defensive utility. Because think about it, you throw the harpoon while you're moving forward, that's going to throw the gun arcs off terribly. So there's definitely more utility in it now. Anyway.
I'm sorry. I'm still trying to take all this in.
Now,
it's a lot of information.
one thing I want to point out, though, is further down in this page, there is a hot fix that was put out on the 30th.
Okay.
And that has a balance patch for the flamethrower and heat sinks in regards to the flamethrower.
Go ahead.
It says here, flamethrower, 1.2 fire damage down from 1.6. Ignition chance for one stack is 18%, down from 27.4%. AoE, 4-meter radius, down from 6-meter radius. Clip size, 250, down from 300. And heatsink now extinguishes 3 stacks of fire upon reload.
Oh.
That's as of the 30th. And the initial patch that you were reading from, Oracle, is as of the 28th.
Okay, gotcha.
So whatever flamethrower craziness that was happening, 2 days later it was patched. Or possibly patched.
All right. That's probably good, because the flamethrower is already such a good weapon. Right now, I'm thinking, so something really important to note, though, about the harpoon is sometimes we saw it as kind of a funny armor shredding weapon, but now because it takes so much longer to reload, it really is kind of a fire and forget weapon now, because it's a 16-second reload instead of 4 seconds. So you fire it and it pulls them in. So that means that it's going to be an even better support weapon on, oh gosh, let's just say, for instance, the front of a junker. If you're looking at not necessarily doing a trifecta and doing a much more brawly kind of junker, that's a possibility. But on the Galleon, the main deck engineer can fire it once and then leave. That's actually one of the weaknesses of the Galleon, is you have that trifecta with the 2 medium guns and the light gun, but oftentimes you don't get to use that light gun for a very extended period of time because the main NG has to hop off the gun. Because he has to run up to the balloon, repair that, and because the medium guns are so difficult to repair, sometimes they have to jump down and repair those. But the Galleon is such a huge target that it keeps the main NG busy. The harpoon would be a really nice gun for the main engineer because he can fire it once and just not have to worry about it again for 16 seconds, which is really nice. So in case you Galleon pilots are wondering where I'm falling on the spectrum of use the harpoon, please use the harpoon. It looks good.
Oh my goodness! So we'll see. We'll see how that actually functions. Like, have you seen the harpoon actually function as it does in the new patch?
I'm trying to think. Yeah, we saw it earlier, and it's scary. It's pretty scary. And it makes things very confusing for the ship that's been hit. Oh, look at this. Okay, so I was talking about the Echidna, the changes to it.
Sure.
They have Hades and Echidna. So I was talking about that a little bit earlier. I think it could be really powerful. However, the Hades, I think, is a little bit more effective at range.
Sure.
I want to say, just because, unless I missed something. Did they change the bullet drop? Because they did a lot of changes. Pitch speed, yaw speed, rate of fire, reload time. Let's see, yeah, they increased the damage a little bit. Rain. No, they just changed the max range. Okay, so the Echidna still has a comparable range to what it used to, like when it comes to accuracy and difficulty landing those shots. So we're probably going to see Lesmok on the Echidna, and maybe see a lot of things. I mean, we could probably also see Lesmok from the Hades, but this is going to be a pretty scary long range powerhouse.
Gotcha.
And there's a certain advantage to it too, because we're getting into the match.
Yes,
right
we are.
now.
We are. Water Hazard is going to be the first map of the evening. Oracle, you've been doing a lot of talking. I will tell everyone about this map.
If you like, I don't mind. I
No.
love theory crafting.
Oh, that's a nice new graphic.
Yeah,
that is a gorgeous new graphic. Water Hazard. It's got these spires that happen every so often. It's got a lot of open air though. Also, the height ceiling, unless you're getting near one of the bridges, is incredibly high. So you have a lot of space to work with. It's hard to ground out a ship. Overall, it is a very long-range friendly map, but it tends to be a brawl very quickly. I will let you go ahead with the first set of ships for the red team.
If I can actually load in. There we go. All right, here we go. For the red team, we have the Shingeki no Keki, a galleon being piloted by Jacob Fye, I believe. No, Lord Fudge. Excuse me. I saw Jacob and I'm just like, oh, he's got a pilot. No, Lord Fudge, level 1 pilot. Looks like it has an Artemis on the port side with a Typhon Heavy Flak and a Hwacha, and on the starboard side, Carronade Hwacha. Aboard the Poke, a familiar Pyramidion being piloted by Abby the Rat. We have a Gap Mortar on the front with a flamethrower and mine launcher on the port side, and aboard the HMS Arundel, we have Admiral Jake Sparrow piloting with a Hades and double Hwacha on the port, and another double Hwacha on the starboard with a Banshee on the back.
Okay, going through these other blue ships as quickly as possible. We have the, what is that? The Alexander pilot by Halia Farron. Left-hand side is a Carronade Hwacha with a mortar on the side, mortar on the back. Right-hand side is Carronade Hwacha as well. We also have, what is that? The Floppy Flop Toothpick piloted by Mel and McCrabbert. I think Balana is on that ship too. It's a Spire with a Hwacha front, Hades and mine launcher, as well as an Echidna Flak. And the last ship, the Event Horizon, piloted by Blinkenell. That is a Pyramidion. Front is a Hades, and that's a Flak as well, along with a flamethrower and a flare launcher on the side.
So I'd like to point something out. Look at this. This is not the optimum engagement range for a galleon. However, it's very difficult for a galleon to change that engagement range. The Pyramidion can do it so easy. Look at this damage coming out. The Event Horizon going to keep following the Shingeki.
Wow.
It is eating so much flak fire.
I'm going to be honest. That was impressive, to say the least. That was incredibly impressive. The Event Horizon dealt so much damage with that Hades flak combination. It absolutely obliterated a galleon, a ship that admittedly does have a lot of armor and a lot of hull points. It ate it alive. You don't see that.
We also had the fire coming in from the other two ships.
That's true. That's true.
Extend a little bit. Though, now we have the Arundel getting ripped apart. Look at that. That was a lot of the Echidna. On the Floppy Flop Toothpick, remember, on the port side, we have an Echidna. A good portion of that damage, I'd say 75% or so, was the Echidna.
Go ahead, Rob.
Oh, this is strong.
Rob, go ahead. Yeah, but what did you say? I didn't hear you. Turn down my mic? Okay.
Poke coming in, getting ripped apart by that Hades. These are very accurate. Armor goes down. Watch a little bit wide there.
Poke actually doing a really good job of getting out of the way. I'm surprised the Poke survived that, but that was a really great maneuver on Abby the Rat's part. Did take a bump there, but they're getting out with their lives. Oh, no, I spoke way too soon. Wow.
Flak, heavy flak.
The accuracy of those flak shots, both from the Event Horizon and the Alexandria. No, it wasn't from the Alexandria. That wasn't from the Alexandria. That was from the Floppy Flop. I'm sorry. Still, those were light flaks that just absolutely ripped through that hull as soon as that armor went down. I'm really starting to like the Hades flak combination. That has started to prove its worth something fierce.
Well, one of the really powerful things that we saw at the very beginning is
Mhm.
so I bring this up every so often. Why do you pick a Pyramidion over a Junker? Like, what's the purpose? You have 2 guns instead of 3. That's a pretty significant difference.
Mhm.
The reason that you pick a Pyramidion over the Junker is because you can control your distance from your target.
I believe the best term is you can thread the needle with it.
I'm not. What does that mean?
Thread the needle means you have very precise, accurate controls over your ship.
Okay, I can understand that.
Extremely
It's not,
precise.
well, it's not particularly maneuverable. What it can do is just control the distance that it is from its target. And that means it can put itself in a nice optimum range for the Hades and Echidna. Now, what I'm kind of understanding, just looking at this, and just kind of going off my intuition, I don't think there's any other gun combination that likes being at the same distance as the Hades and Echidna does. That combination.
Poke is moving in on the floppy flop toothpick. That Hades shot was pretty darn accurate at taking out those
Poke
2
coming
front
in.
guns. Mine's going out, but it's not going to do anything. Poke getting the first bump. Friendly bump. All guns are back online for the Poke. Floppy flop toothpick is taking a lot of damage from this. That combination of the gap mortar
Ooh.
does a ton of damage to the
Goomba
spire.
Stomp. Throwing the Spire down, but the Spire is going to be able to stay up. And now the Event Horizon has turned its guns toward the Poke. That is the weak side of the Pyramidion that is facing the Event Horizon.
Event Horizon has them right in their marks. Absolutely where they want the Poke to be. Perfect engagement range. Not quite so much anymore. Event Horizon needs to reverse thrusters. Poke should
There
be
we
going
go.
down here.
There we go.
What if it's
Alexandria
got the kill
coming
there?
in. Alexandria came in with some nice
I think it
carronade
killed.
shots.
Yep, I do believe that was a carronade. Yep. Who?
I'll save the theory crafting for between games.
The, how do you pronounce that red ship name?
The Shingeki no Keki.
Shingeki no Keki? Okay. Shingeki no Keki is just traveling right into a trifecta between these 3 blue ships. Event Horizon and Floppy
Crossfire.
Flop Toothpick. That's nasty crossfire there. Really bad stuff. Shingeki no Keki, I'm not sure why they put themselves in this situation. They've lost almost all their components and 2 of their engines.
Yep,
Not a
armor's
good
not
situation.
looking so great. Hades coming in nicely. Fire on the balloon. They can't manage to do anything about it. That is slowly burning away. As soon as the balloon goes down, I'm going to say this ship's done. Might even be before that.
Yeah.
Armor's down. Getting chipped away at. Wow, that is a lot of hull damage really quickly.
Flak shots were a little late on that. They could have finished it off, but they were just a little late. Not this time. There they are. Flak shots finish off the Shingeki no Keki. 6-0 in favor of the blue team. They've done a real good job of keeping things together and holding tight.
Yeah, they've been holding together really closely. Red team has sort of been coming in one at a time, and they're taking good advantage of that. Look at that focus fire. Oh!
Whoa!
But the
Poke!
floppy flop toothpick going down. Poke coming in from behind while firing the flamethrower over the Event Horizon, doing double work right here. And now it's a 2-on-2. Where is the floppy flop going to spawn?
The problem is the Poke just shot a little too far ahead and is now in the wheelhouse of the Event Horizon, where it's just landing all those Flak and Hades shots right on top of it. Armor is starting to get eaten away. Engines have gone down on the Poke as well. If they let the Event Horizon just sit there and take pot shots, Poke is not going to last long.
Now, these Hades are beginning to miss those. The Event Horizon rises up to keep the Poke in arc, but as soon as it rises up enough, it'll be able to do some serious work. But the question is, can they kill the Poke before those guns get in range? There's no disable on the
There's
Event
the
Horizon.
armor's
There it
down.
is.
Hull is taking immense amounts of damage. That flag did its job. Something fierce. Great work. Poke is still alive somehow. It barely has a sliver of hull left. Armor is starting to burn down again on the
There
Poke.
we
There's
go.
the kill. 7-0 in favor of the blue team. They get a sweep on it.
This combination of the Hades Echidna is going to put the Gap Mortar into even more of a niche role than it already was. We've seen it in competitive play quite a bit. I mean, there's sort of the feeling that, it's kind of a niche combination. You don't see it that much, but that's not true in competitive play. We see it a lot. But now I think it's going to fulfill even more of a niche role of that super close range brawling.
Sure,
Because
sure.
I think that in most situations, unless you have a crafty pilot, it's going to get outperformed by whatever armor shred you have and Echidna.
Now you're speaking. You were speaking on holding some theory crafting for the between match.
Yeah.
What's your thought going on?
So I was kind of looking at the Hades Echidna, and I think I recognized a bit of power that I hadn't really realized at the very beginning.
Sure.
I was looking at the engagement range that the event horizon was holding, and I noticed something. I've never seen a ship engage at that range before. Usually, it's significantly farther away or significantly closer, but there's that. That is a very strange range. It felt very odd to me. And I realized I don't think there's any other gun that wants to be at that, or any other gun combination that wants to be at that range, at that specific range. Which means that the Hades Echidna, if they can get at that range, they are going to win the fight every time. And when you put that on a Pyramidion, that means that they're going to be able to keep themselves at that range for an extended period of time. It's a really odd advantage, but I think it's really powerful.
Interesting thought. I am noticing a couple of things here. The red team does have some level 1s on it for some reason.
Yeah.
I
New pilot wants to jump in.
Well, no, Halia Farron. I thought Halia Farron was a much higher level pilot.
Me too.
Like Halia Farron's only level 4.
Well, Halia has just been around over the last couple of weeks, I thought.
But I thought last week they were what, level 7 or 8?
Yeah.
Huh. It's really weird.
Yeah, I'm confused.
Also, Lord Fudge. I've seen Lord Fudge before. I don't think I've ever seen them pilot. But that would make sense then. That would make sense why they'd only be a level 1 pilot.
Yep. Engineer and gunner. They're just like, why not? Let's do it.
There you go. Oh, there you freaking go.
Yeah, I'm thinking about this, about specifically the Hades Echidna. Like, another reason that it's really strong is the Echidna's optimum range is really nice for the Hades as well. I know a lot of people kind of feel like the Hades's optimal range is as far away as you can get it, but that oftentimes doesn't pair well with a lot of other guns.
Nor does it work well for the Hades, because the longer your shot gets, the more you have to plan out that arc. It's not a fast firing shot. The Hades shot, unless you're loading Lesmok in it, does not travel quickly. So you have to really plan out that shot ahead of time. So if you can keep a good butter zone right ahead of where that arming time is, along with the flak, that's a very solid optimum range for getting kills, because all your Hades shots are going to be landing. The armor is going to be burning down extremely quickly. And then those flak shots can start up as soon as that fifth or sixth Hades shot leaves the barrel, so you can predict exactly where that armor is going to go down. Get those hull shots right off the bat and just start laying into them. It's really effective. Again, that doesn't work for every ship. That's based off of, I believe, the Pyramidions armor as well. So that doesn't work for every ship, of course, but I think you get what I'm saying.
Yeah. You can start to predict it pretty well. And I'd also like to bring something up. There's kind of this assumption in the Guns of Icarus community that if you have a good enough gunner on the Hades, like, people seem to talk like they assume this, though they'll say directly otherwise. There's this strange sort of subtext that if you have a good enough Hades gunner, he's going to land as many shots closer as farther away with the Hades. But that's just not true. I mean, the shot is so slow that you can manage to juke it out fairly easily from a certain range. So, depending on the ship, of course. But when you get closer, the Hades is going to land more often. A lot more often. And when you have that more reliable armor shred, combined with the reliable hull shred of the Echidna, you end up with a ridiculously deadly combination that, in my opinion, in most circumstances, is going to beat the Gat Mortar. I don't think that the Gat Mortar is going to be able to compete with it. On top of that, there's something kind of interesting about the Hades. Most people, when they look at the Hades, they say, oh, it's really good hull shred, or armor shred, I should say, but not much else. That's not necessarily true. The Hades has a pretty big burst if it does get the explosion, if it's far enough away. And when that explosion goes off, it lights fires on anything in the area. And if another ship is approaching it, or the guns are facing it, then it is going to get a little bit of disable on those guns, albeit not as strong or as fast as the Artemis it does, or something else to that, something else that uses shatter damage. But it's still going to be enough to damage those guns and reduce the effectiveness. So if a Metamidian comes right for a Hades Echidna, it's going to start struggling with fire once it gets to a certain point.
Okay. Interesting thoughts. I want to see this stuff in practice. I really do. I want to see how these physical mechanics are going to work.
Yeah, I think I can't really see it going any other way, though. Like, though I guess, the acid test is always something we have to do. Battle on the Dunes going to be our next map. We're getting underway. For everyone that's just joining us, welcome to the Iron Fork. This is a very, very non-competitive cast. It's just anyone can jump into this lobby and we cast it. It's a little bit of fun. Let people get on the air. We do see, though, even though it's not a competitive arena, we do see a lot of competitive players coming in, especially pilots.
It's a great place to experiment. It really is.
Yeah, absolutely. Dan, why don't you take us through the red ships?
Red ships. First one up is the Sergeant Shunt, piloted by Lord Fudge. On the right-hand side, we have a Mercury and an Artemis. Interesting combination. Front is a Flak, and the left-hand side is a Gat Mortar. The Poke, piloted by Abby the Rack, traditional Poke setup. Front is a Gat Mortar. It's Pyramidion, of course. Side is a Flamethrower and a Mine Launcher. And the Lutetia, piloted by Haliaferin. We have a Hades Flak on the front of it, and on the side, a Flamer and a Mine Launcher.
And for the blue team, we have the HMS Arundel. It is a galleon being piloted by Jake Sparrow. It has a Hades and pair of watches on the port side with another couple of watches on the starboard and a Banshee on the back. Aboard the Queen's Oven, a junker being piloted by Melon McClabernathi. Excellent. We have a trifecta of Artemises on the port side. And on the starboard, we have a brawling side of a Flamethrower and Carronade. Absolutely brutal. And aboard the Steptoe, a junker being piloted by Blinkenell. We have a Hades Artemis on the port side with a Banshee on the front for a little bit of extra fire, and double Gat on the starboard, interestingly enough. They are all moving together, and we have already seen an engagement. First shots coming out.
The blue team is doing a really good job of holding together. Red team is trying to get a good surround on that, but Sergeant Shunt is holding back just a little bit, using that Artemis Mercury combination. The Lutetia getting a good ram on the Arundel. Lutetia, though, is now in the crossfire of all three of those blue ships, and they are losing armor fast. Armor goes down. Hull is starting to take some very serious shots.
Where's the Hwacha?
The Hwacha needs to come out right now.
Oh, it may not matter anyways. Armor's taking a while to come back up. The double Gat going to rip right through it, though.
The Arundel did not lose any components there. We should have seen that Hwacha. Those Hwachas are ready to fire, but no one's getting on. Ooh. There it is!
There we go.
There it is.
That's what we were waiting for. Queen's Oven getting the worst end of the Poke, that is to say the front end, goes down 1 for 1. However, the Poke is a little bit farther ahead of the Sergeant Shunt, which is taking his good sweet time getting in there. Armor goes down on the Poke. This is not looking good.
Poke cannot be aggressive when they don't have armor available. Abby the Rat loves to use that nose cone to give people that really solid nudge of death. The nose bump of death, as one might say. You have to have armor for that, though. It's very dangerous to do that without armor. Going in on the Arundel. Watch the shots going out. Oh. Poke kills itself. Poke kills itself on the Arundel.
Smote his ruin upon the mountainside. Or, I guess, the Arundel in this
Ooh.
case. Steptoe coming alongside the Arundel. Yep, and the quick spawn in from the Queen's Oven. Coming around from behind. All three blue ships are going to be very close to one another. However,
We should see them getting back into formation.
two red ships need to come in. Poke spawning very far away. Red engaging with two ships. Blue has three. All
Sergeant
next to one
Shunt
another.
is making a big mistake here. They should not be going in right now. They are essentially alone. The Lutetia is taking on the Arundel alone. That's a 1v1. The Sergeant Shunt is eagerly going into a 2v1, though, with the Queen's Oven and the Steptoe, and I don't think they're going to come out on the winning side.
Yep, this was. I think this may have been a mistake by both Lutetia and Sergeant Shunt. Mortar's coming out. Not really going to hit a whole lot there. Blue ships are looking just fine. Queen's Oven loses a gun. But I think that was actually to, what was that to? Not sure. Either way, Arundel taking some serious fire. The Lutetia, I think, is in a much worse place. Armor getting shredded by that Gatling fire.
Very risky situation. Whew, boy.
Oof! Watcha!
That was...
Ripping through the hull of Lutetia.
That was impressive. I'm actually shocked that Sergeant Shunt is still alive. I understand why the other blue ships came to the Arundel's aid, but now the Poke is on top of it, going in hard, getting a good crunch on it. Balloon takes some damage. Armor is gone. Hull is leaving it quickly. He's out of
Whoa.
there.
Red somehow keeping this from turning into a disaster. Poke gives a nice little bump onto the Steptoe, but now its tail is facing towards him. Double Gat going to rip through those engines quickly. Armor as well. Not a whole lot to do with that.
I am shocked at the ammo choice of the Steptoe just now. Both of those cannons were loaded with heavy clip. Steptoe is now right in the kill zone of the Poke. Not gonna be a good situation.
Yeah, he's got to move. Turning that port side over. I mean, I understand the power of a double Gat, but I don't like it very much on a Junker.
A Junker is not a great idea because you don't have that nose cone to use as a weapon as well. I get why people do it on a Pyramidion because armor disappears because of it, but not great for a Junker because Poke can withstand the damage while that armor and that hull disappears on the Steptoe.
Flamethrower coming out, hitting the Poke, but it's not going to be enough to save the Steptoe. Steptoe will go down, not enough fire. However, the hull is exposed. Huge Watcher comes out from the Arundel.
Great
Takes
Watcher.
advantage of that Flamethrower. Bit of a last
Fantastic
hurrah
Watcher
there.
shot. I do believe that was heavy clip too. Very
my.
good Watcher.
Oh my. The Flamethrower taking out the flak shots midair.
What?
Yeah.
What?
I didn't realize that was it's not something that comes up very often, but flak shots can be shot out of midair. And the flak shots are slow enough that the flamethrower can do enough damage to them to explode them before
Sergeant
they
Shunt
hit
is
the
having some very
Look at that,
serious issues. Yeah. Sergeant Shunt having some very serious issues with the flamethrower. Pretty much the entire ship is on fire. The only thing that isn't on fire right now, besides a couple engines, is the hull. I stand corrected. The armor is now on fire.
Didn't take too long there. Sergeant Shunt, the balloon is well and gone. Comes back up just in time to keep it from bouncing. Might bounce anyway.
He's gonna
Baby's
bounce.
coming out. Yeah.
Flamethrower. That flamethrower is just eating the Sergeant Shunt alive. The flamethrower now is incredibly powerful. If the Queen's Oven was not targeting the balloon right now, as they just did, they are now targeting the armor.
Ooh.
Did not take long. Did
Nope.
not take long.
Not at all. Here comes the Arundel, going to get eaten up by the Poke, though. Poke got a nice angle. Those Watcher shots not landing the way they needed to, and they're going to pay for it with their lives. Lutetia coming in as well. A little bit late to the party. Poke's like, hey, man, I got it. No
Sup?
worries.
The Poke is really... the Poke is knocking it out of the park today. They're doing a very good job with getting those kill angles. Not just on the Arundel, which they've killed twice now, but I believe they got a really good angle on the Steptoe beforehand, which just was absolutely devastating.
Yeah,
Poke
but
doing a
now
great job.
Artemis coming out on both the Poke and Lutetia.
Now we have the Queen's Oven and the Steptoe in very good formation right now for the blue team. Lutetia appears to be charging their lines. Poke is going to try to come in from the clouds, it looks like.
Now, Lutetia is going to move over to its ally.
Okay, I see
But
the
it
angle
is
now.
showing,
Yeah.
It is showing the open side, though. When you face your broadside of the Pyramidion,
It's a very
against
big
its
target.
enemies, yes, it makes it much, much easier to hit. But they're going to be okay. They're
Yes,
far
they
enough
are.
away.
Cloud cover does come in. Sergeant Shunt is right next to him. Poke right there. So, but it looks like Poke is actually quite far away, going around the wreck. Going all the way around the wreck right now, which you normally see on the capture point version of this map.
Mm-hmm. Yep. This comes up every so often. We see this on the Iron Fork sometimes. Queen's Oven backing up. They do have that big engine.
Poke is getting targeted early on. Steptoe unleashing with the double gats. The Arundel is the target, however. Armor goes down on the Poke. Holy crap!
Woo! And the Arundel gets showered with the remains of the Poke. That was some nice focus fire. Usually, double gat on the Junker doesn't work, but the Poke was coming right in at the double gat and a double Hwacha. Not much is gonna survive that.
I believe if the Poke had focused more on maneuvering and dodging those shots, specifically coming in at the Queen's Oven from behind it instead of going straight for the Arundel, I think they've been more successful.
The Steptoe and Arundel have been doing a really good job. Holy cow, big ram. But the armor is down on the Lutetia. That's not what they need. Gatling's coming out, and I think the chip damage might do it. Yes, indeed. That's going to be it.
Oh my goodness.
Woo-wee. Nice coordination.
That was not a sweep by any stretch of the imagination. Red team did keep it competitive there, but blue team definitely the more organized of the two teams in this situation right now, doing a great job of focusing their fire in the appropriate locations and making sure the Poke, although it was doing a lot of damage, did repeatedly die before it could get those chain kills.
Yep. I really liked the coordination between the Arundel and the Steptoe, getting that double Gatling going on any approaching Pyramidians, and then the Hwacha comes out. You saw the Arundel was waiting for the armor to go down before it fired off that double Hwacha. So both of the Hwachas were ready. They didn't use it to disable. They knew they could get a kill before the Poke or Lutetia could do anything. So because I mean, you have two Hwachas.
Oracle. Hello? Hello? Rob, are you there? Hello? Anyone here? Rob, are you there? What happened? Oh, we lost Oracle. Okay.
You know, the match ends, and I'm like, I need to go grab a drink real quick. I was
worried it disconnected there. Wow.
They won't miss me for a couple of seconds.
Nope. That was not Skype, by the way. We use Zoom, guys. We use Zoom. That's not good. We lost Oracle. Uh-oh.
He'll be back. He's got the URL.
Yeah. Yeah, he will return ever so shortly. Wow. Well, that was abrupt. Looking over the teams here, Lord Fudge and Melon McCrabernath got switched between red and blue team. Sergeant Shunt, I believe, was the... I hate to say it this way, but one of the weaker points for the red team. Obviously, he's a new pilot, so lack of experience is probably an issue. So with Melon McCrabb getting switched over to the red team, this is going to be very, very competitive. This is really weird not having someone to bounce stuff off of.
So,
Oracle, come back!
So, what'd you think of the new stuff for ships?
New stuff for ships. I haven't seen too much of it, to be completely honest.
You weren't watching this match?
I was, but I was more focusing on the actual,
the
fighting.
actual ships.
The actual fighting, not the actual ships.
Well, I've already seen a couple of the figurehead pieces on the ships.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, if you click on the store icon in the upper right, we can pull in while we're still
hold on
in
a second.
match.
I am grabbing another caster in case Oracle does not come back.
Okay. The figurehead that I noticed on the ship was the Angel figurehead. That at least one of the ships had that. I believe I saw another person with the Octopus figurehead.
Yeah, I haven't been looking at that stuff yet. I know I should, but I haven't had the cognizance to be checking it out.
Now, the thing that was probably noticeable right off the bat, though subtle to some degree, is the decals on the balloons. Did you see that all the ships had custom decals on them? Or
no, I haven't noticed any of the customization yet.
Wow, because those decals are right on the blimps. Like, right on the balloon. There was one team had a goldfish decal on theirs. I saw the Griffin decal. I think I saw the Vengeful Spirit decal as well. Apparently, there's different paint jobs you can put onto your ships as well to make the balloon,
yeah, they have themes.
Make the balloon one color. I'm also wondering. I'm not sure if anyone else has noticed it, but does it seem like the textures are a little bit higher quality once you get ship side? Like
I did notice that the ships seem like they're looking a little fancier.
Yeah, it seems almost a little crisper, a little bit more detailed to the textures than previously. That didn't say anything in the patch notes specifically about that, though. So that's why I'm kind of like...
Okay, so plan for right now is we're going to have Kirk hop in for about a half hour or so, and after that, we're going to have Lucas hop in and join us.
I wonder what happened to Oracle. He's offline, so internet probably died on him.
I think his internet crapped out on him. Sadly enough. Not very good, unfortunately, for us. Looks like Kirk has to update his system before he can even join us.
Uh-oh. I mean, he has to update Zoom?
No, his computer, his Windows.
Oh, good lord.
I'm going to have Lucas go ahead and hop in.
Freaking Windows.
Whew. All sorts of tech problems. My goodness. James Tiberius Kirk says hello, though. Hopefully Lucas is paying attention.
Lucas.
It's all right. Maybe he needs his time.
Lucas.
Did all of our co-casters just suddenly disappear?
It seems like everyone disappeared. Even chat looks like it's dead.
Oh my god.
The world just fell apart around us.
Ceased to exist.
I was wondering why all the trees just stopped swaying in the wind.
Don't say that. But you don't have a window next to your computer. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I do. I've got two windows next to me. I can look out in the woods.
You have woods up in the north?
Yes, Dan. It's called the forest.
Wow.
Lucas. Oh, wait. I think we have a Lucas.
We have a Lucas? We have a Lucas. Hey, Lucas. Do we have a Lucas?
I think a Lucas can hear us. But for us hearing him, I don't know.
Hello?
Ah, there's Lucas. Okay.
Yay. Sorry about that.
Well, we're just losing casters left and right. So we have another co-caster now. Everything is good.
No, I just need to actually get in the game. That would be nice, wouldn't it?
We got a space for you. We're good to go here.
Damn
So, oh wait, you're on the event horizon.
I don't want to be on the event horizon.
Let's not do that.
Let's not do that.
Hopefully, one of the spectators will exchange with you. It would be kind of them.
There.
We go. Alrighty. So, from what you've seen so far, Lucas, what do you think of the new changes from this patch?
Loving the change to the light flak.
Mhm.
It actually shows that maybe there's going to be this draw away from the Artemis when it comes to Hades and another weapon. Because this will mean the Artemis will go to more of its extreme long-range builds where that
Sure.
projectile expansion will become more of a thing.
Sure.
And should be interesting to see what it does to Gat Mortar, because if the Artemis is phased out more, also means that the close range builds will be able to get in closer without having to face more of that shatter damage. So that's also a thing. So it's going to be quite interesting to see how that changes it. Plus you've got the changes done to the Flamer. Meaning, luckily this is post hotfix. Because if this was done with the default patch Flamer, I'm quite sure quite a few double Flamer Pyramidians would be in this lobby right now.
Yeah. The poke is sticking with that front. Oh, they've changed actually. The poke is switched over to a front carronade flamer setup.
No, that was viable before the patch.
Oh yeah, but now it's going to be insane.
That is a very heavy disable build.
Yes.
So that'd be a decent amount of part damage now as well.
Some stuff is going to get wrecked by that. All right. The map is Canyon Ambush. The top and the bottom of it are open. It has lots of space to work with. The center, however, has a lot of very tight canyons and corridors where brawling happens, and you can use your angles to your advantage. Getting a surprise on an enemy in that area is almost certain doom for the enemy. We'll get in, and we will get the loadouts going. First up is the red team. My dentist is on fire, piloted by Melon McCrabbernathy. No, that's not. Is that Melon McCrabbernathy? Yeah, it is. That's McCrabbernathy's ship. It is a Pyramidian with front double flamer. Ooh, front double flamer. Oh, God. I think he wants to kill something with that.
Pray to God they have chem spray.
And a side flamer as well. So you can get a flamer trifecta on there, along with a mine launcher on back. You also have the poke, which is running a flamer carronade on the front. It is a Pyramidian piloted by Abby the Rat, with a side flamer and mine launcher as well. Mine launchers, pretty popular as well right now. Constantinople, the third ship in the red lineup, piloted by Halia Farron. It is a squid. Front carronade, side gat, back mine launcher, pretty standard. Lucas, go ahead and do the blue ships.
Well, on the first blue ship, we have the HMS Arandil, a galleon with a Hades double Watcher side, and the other side is even more Watcher with a, what is that on the back? That is a Banshee light rocket carousel.
There we go.
The next blue ship, we have the, oh my God, the Ritoru something or other.
Ritoru Kapakuki?
I have no idea.
Ritoru Kapakuki.
Oh, piloted by Lord Fudge. The galleon is, of course, piloted by Jake Sparrow. The, Rikoru has Gatling Hades. That is a lot of medium to short range armor shred. With on the side we have an Artemis and a mine launcher.
And for simplicity, let's just call that ship the Kappa.
The Kappa. That's the Kappa. It's Kappa.
And of course, we have the Event Horizon piloted by Blinkenell with a Hades flak front, Artemis Gatling side.
There we go. Red team has formed up on the far right-hand side of the map. Actually, formed up is a very flexible term. Constantinople is swinging far to the south, and it looks like Dentis is on fire and Poke are heading towards the center of the map. Blue team has formed up on the far left-hand side.
It seems to be both team assumes the other team is staying in their spawn.
If this wasn't the Iron Fork, it'd be a safe assumption, but this is the Iron Fork.
Touche.
Now, Dan, with the downtime that we have for this brief moment, take a look at the Poke and look at the balloon specifically, and look at the very front of the ship.
Oh, I see banners. I see the banners on there. I see the little balloon design on there.
You notice that's a black balloon?
No, I didn't. Oh, okay.
Same with
that is a rather dark balloon.
Same with Constantinople. The balloon
and the figurehead too. The figurehead is gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
There's actually bit, for example. But another thing is, if you look at the Arendelle, you can see actually it's a blue ship with a red balloon.
Yeah, that's one possible issue.
Oh, that's gonna be so confusing.
And there is also a blue paint, so you could have a red ship with a blue balloon. So it leads to some confusions if you don't look at the smaller details on the ship.
Yeah, both teams passed very close to each other, but because of cloud cover, they didn't actually see each other. The Poke, though, could spot the blue team at a moment's notice. A moment's notice here, if cloud break does happen. The Event Horizon, though, Kappa and the Arendelle both holding tightly in cover.
Yeah, if that cloud cover breaks, the Poke is in a rather compromising situation.
It would be.
Yeah,
Constantinople has been spotted by the Event Horizon, as has the Poke. It is going to draw out those red ships so the Kappa can get a good ambush on them if it was more paying attention. Unfortunately, it's not. Unfortunately, it's not. Poke is coming in right on the Event Horizon. Event Horizon is going to have to start wheeling backwards. It is inside arming time. Flamethrower is going. Carronade going as well. Look at that burn damage.
Yeah, that just shows that Chem Spray can sometimes save your life.
It could. The Event Horizon, though, is burning away so incredibly quickly. My God. Wow.
That was a 3v1.
A 3v1 with a lot of flamethrowers.
Yeah, and of course, if you get, is it 6 stacks of fire on the weapon, you're immediately shut
Oh,
out
it's
of
down
that
to 6 now?
weapon. I think it's either 6 or 8.
Down to 6, okay. It was 8. It was 8. Is it now 6?
I think it's still 8. I don't think
Okay,
they've changed
okay.
it. I think
Poke, though, is getting obliterated by the Kappa, finally having come in, though. But flamethrowers from the Dentist is on fire. Double flamethrower is obliterating the Kappa. Oh my God, do you see this damage? Everything is being destroyed on that ship. They're gone.
Yeah. Double flamethrower, because one just sometimes isn't enough on a cake ship.
You can never have enough flamethrowers on a cake ship.
Oh, you can never have enough flamethrowers on a cake ship.
Ever. Ever. Whew. That flamethrower action. Now the Arendelle is all alone inside the red team spawn.
Yeah.
They have been spotted too.
This is not looking good for the Arendelle.
Nope, not at all. The Constantinople is already on top of them, bouncing their balloon all over the place, staying out of arc of their weapons. The Poke is coming in as well. Hwacha shot going out. That was heavy clip, but it did not do the damage it needed to at all. Most of it hit the balloon.
And here comes the flamers.
Flamethrowers already on top of the Arendelle. Everything is set on fire. Everything is on fire on that ship in a matter of moments. Armor gone. Everything is burning away. Balloon is burning away. The hull is getting burned away.
Everything is in double-figure fire stacks.
Oh.
Everything.
All that damage is starting to go into the hull, into the armor. This is just disgusting.
Now, Fluffy Hetch in chat was saying you should have seen this on Monday before the
It was bad.
It was bad.
It was bad.
before the
It's-
hotfix.
Wow.
Well, before the hotfix, the flamethrower per clip was the second highest hull damaging weapon in the game. So this means if you could get out a clip of flamethrower fast enough, that's just under a heavy flak of damage on their hull.
Wow. That's crazy. Event Horizon taking some pot shots at the red team, specifically the poke, but they're not quite landing. The range is just a little too off.
Event Horizon needs to get out of there before the poke closes in with that double flamer.
By a long shot.
Yeah,
Very, very brutal.
So,
That flak, though, has been accurate so far. Poke doing a good job of dodging those shots. It is starting to close the distance. It doesn't have a ton of hull left, but it does have armor left in spades. I do believe they are getting close to getting inside the arming time. Flamer shots are starting to land. Poke is doing a good job of keeping the ship together through this fire, and I do believe they are hitting those flag shots before they're landing. Poke is in range. Carronade is hitting. Flamer is hitting. Nose Cone is hitting. The Event Horizon is in a lot of trouble.
oh yeah, well the problem with that Hades flak combo is both weapons have an arming time.
Yes, they do. It is a mid-range combination.
Looks like
Flamer
the Kappa's
Carronade.
about to die. And there goes the Kappa.
Kappa goes as well. 4-0 in favor of the red team. My goodness. That's extreme. Event Horizon has turned their engine column to the poke. Their engines are chem sprayed, however, so there isn't a risk of fire, but everything else is burning. And quite quickly, especially with that carronade hitting as well. Crack as it lands. Event Horizon taking some pretty serious hull damage there. Poke and Dentist is on fire coming in. Goomba Stomp happening from the Dentist is on fire. Goomba stomping it to death. Wow.
Yeah, there seems to be an almost meat grinder situation here being set up by the red team.
I wouldn't call this a meat grind per se. Certainly not a good situation, though, for the blue team. Arendelle going in on their own right now. Constantinople about to get a face full of Hwacha, more than likely. No, they dip below the arcs of the Hwacha. They are able to go below those arcs. My goodness.
Orchard being a devastating weapon, if of course you can get it.
Flamers surrounding the Arendelle now from the poke. Dentist is on fire, and Constantinople doing their best as well. Arendelle is burning away. Oh boy.
I was expecting a lot of flamethrowers, this being a cake-hosted event, but this is,
You might say this takes the cake.
yeah.
Oh, you.
Oh god, he's back.
Oracle has returned. Oracle will get you in on the next one, okay?
Yeah, no problem.
Kappa and Event Horizon are slinking around the right side of the map. I do believe they're going to try to come in above the Constantinople and the poke. Densis is on fire, is leaving this area pretty quickly along with the poke. Constantinople just a little bit behind, but it is a squid. It will easily be able to catch up with its teammates.
So spot goes out on the Constantinople, but none on the blue ship behind it.
I don't believe they got the red team's attention. I do believe red team is like, no, stick together, push forward.
Yeah,
One more kill for the red team will win it too.
Well, the red team knows where the blue team is mainly going to be spawning, which is in this huge open area to the south on the map. So there's bound to be an A ship in there.
Mm-hmm. Arundel has been engaged by Dentis is on fire. Everything on that ship is on fire. I don't believe they can return fire because of fire.
I just came in and saw a ton of little fire symbols on the Arundel.
It's
That was
everywhere. Double flamethrower on the front of Dentis is on fire is
Oh my
instantly
God.
disabling the galleons in this fight. I believe actually there's only one galleon. But point being, the Arundel has been completely disabled almost instantaneously by Dentis is on fire. They could not return fire in any way, shape, or form, getting eaten alive by these flamers. The Kappa is coming and trying to do everything in its power to save the galleon, but it's not enough. Red team gets the win for the first time today here on the Iron Porker Friday.
That looked painful.
That was incredibly painful. So for the first time today, we really get to see exactly what's going on with the flamethrower. What do you guys think about that disable capability with double flamer front?
Actually, that was something I was going to bring up before my computer overheated. Fixed it up, by the way, so we're good. But that was something I was kind of considering is I wonder if we're seeing a similar situation between the flamethrower and carronade that we saw between the Echidna and the Artemis before. Because the idea was the idea of the Echidna was it dealt pretty good hull damage, but and it did more hull damage than the Artemis. But the utility of the Artemis, the other things that it could do were so strong, and it still almost had as much hull damage. So, there was no reason to pick the Echidna over the Artemis, really. Just because, even though the Echidna outperformed the Artemis in a couple of ways, the Artemis was just better in so many other ways.
Sure,
And
sure.
to such a degree. I think we're seeing a similar thing here with the flamethrower and the carronade. I mean, yeah, the carronade can rip through a balloon pretty darn quick, and it does it with aplomb. But the flamethrower can do that by applying the fire stacks, as well as spread fire to all of the other components of the ship. Why would I want a carronade when I could have a flamethrower that's almost as good at doing what the carronade does best, but also has all of these other amazing features?
Well, it comes down to if the other team has engineers who have true understanding of the Chemspray and Chemspray rotations, that flamethrower's fire stacks, the main weight, or actually its main disabling power, is going to be reduced substantially.
That's true, but the flamethrower doesn't exist in a vacuum. It's going to be with another gun. Let's say, a Gatling, or it could be whatever. We could put whatever the heck we wanted. Something that's going to disable a part of that ship, and that's going to throw off the Chemspray timing. Because they have to stay on a specific part of the ship, rebuild it, etc. We saw it a couple weeks ago with the Mandarins in the Sky League. It was the semifinal matches. They had Chemspray. They were going up against Overwatch, I want to say.
Mandarins was versus Overwatch in the semifinals, yes.
Yeah. They had a ton of Chemspray on those Junkers, but when things started getting disabled by the carronade and other miscellaneous things, it threw the Chemspray arcs off. Flamethrower could really go to town. Obviously, this was before the flamethrower buffs, so it's going to be even stronger now. Chemspray is good as a preventative tool, but it will only last you so long in a prolonged engagement, especially against a flamethrower.
Oh, as soon as one major component that needs to be rebuilt goes down, it's usually rebuild that, and if you're still under fire from the flamethrower, you can place your bets that during the time of you rebuilding that, you're going to apply Chemspray to it. It's going to have more than 3 fire stacks on it.
Mm-hmm.
Thus meaning that your Chemspray has just become redundant for that component.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's going to be, if it's got more than 3 stacks, you can't make it fireproof, which therefore means it's going to be getting more stacks, which is going to result in it being, if they're using, for example, greased or incendiary flamethrower, that's going to very quickly become a 10 to 20 stack fire that's going to destroy that component again.
Yep. So I guess the carronade will still have its place as a quick balloon popping mechanism, but I think in most situations, certainly not all, but most situations, the flamethrower is going to be the superior choice at this point.
The only time a carronade is really going to shine is when you're against ships like the galleon or the junker when you've got that huge balloon hitbox.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, against junkers. It's going to be nice against junkers. You know, you load
Okay,
heavy clip and
I
you
am.
grenade. You
I
are?
will let you two take over for now. Too
Okay.
many cooks in the kitchen ruined the meal, as one might say.
You don't think
I
it was the
am-
double flamer?
I am, however, instead because Crystal's event hasn't started yet for today. I'm actually going to hop in game here to see if I can't get a spot on one of these ships.
Oh,
Sure.
So we're going to see
can you captain a
Anywho,
ship named Rob?
if there is space for it.
Okay.
If there's space for it. Anywho, I will let you guys do your thing. Have a wonderful
Alright.
cast
Yeah,
and have a wonderful day.
you
Evening.
too. Oh, I do notice Brother Cyphus. I almost read Cyphidius. Brother Cyphus is saying anyone who's on the fence about getting this game, get it now. That's absolutely right. Especially the most recent patches have really have really polished the game. It's really excellent. Like Muse has done a great job of upgrading the game and making it better. And I just recommend getting in now because it's only going to get better from here. And we're talking about the flamethrower being really powerful, but I gotta say, like, the game is, I'd say, like, the changes have made this game more balanced than it's been in a long time.
Well, if you're still unsure about buying this game, you've got co-op mode coming up pretty soon.
Yeah,
Which is co-op mode is going to be good, but what the co-op mode is really a lead into is co-op mode is a lead into adventure mode. That's
adventure mode is going to be awesome.
when it comes out.
Yeah, I'm really excited for it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And they just added ship customization. So if you kind of dream of being a captain with your own sort of unique ship, now's the time to do it. Like, now's the time to get into the game.
Plus with a new overhaul to the clan system.
Yeah, that was absolutely beautiful. So if you're interested in clan play and competitive play, there can be a spot for you if you're interested. So, like, really, this, like, good on you, Muse. I'm gonna give a shout out to Muse here. Nice work, guys. Nice work.
Personally, I think it's their latest employee that's really doing all the work here.
Oh, really? And who might
Oh,
that
yeah.
be?
That would be, of course, Mr. Grady, Iris
Hmm.
member, and Northern Gentleman. Hopefully he's not here to me say that because I'll never hear the end of that.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. They got picked up. Now, let's see here. I'm actually trying to nab some stuff for my ship. Right now, I have the Wolf Cub decal. I have the
Here
Mechanical
we
Dragon
go.
figurehead. Harkening back to my my Norwegian heritage, and
Yeah,
I'm
man.
on the fence
Oh,
about the
well,
Traveler
game
thing.
starting in 5 seconds. 4 seconds.
Oh no! How dare you? I wasn't done changing up my ship. In any case, we are going to be getting into game right now. Which map is it going to be, Lucas?
It is going to be Desert Scrap. Hello, this is going to be
Oh.
interesting.
Poor Dan. Dan gets to miss out on his favorite map to cast. There's a reason it's everyone's favorite. Desert Scrap it's very wide open, but none of that really matters. Nobody uses that wide open area because there's only one point that matters in this game mode, and that is the very, very center, a point that must be captured and held in order to take victory. And it's in the very center of this Leviathan here, and it is a nasty, brawling area. Lucas, take us through the red ships.
We have the deflationary policy, a goldfish, a carronade goldfish with flamer sides, piloted by Melon McCravanathy. Blah, 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 blah. Next, we have the Poke, piloted by Abby the Rat. It is a flamer carronade with double mine side.
Yep, good for Desert Scrap.
And we have the British Grit, piloted by Jake Sparrow. It is a double mine launcher, one side Mercury front with Hades Gatling on the other side.
Definitely feels like an odd ship loadout for the blue team. We have the Alexandria, who has had his balloon popped, being piloted by Halia Faron. It has a mortar on the port side with a Huacha and carronade. to complement, and another Hwacha carronade on the starboard, with another mortar on the back. Aboard the VSS Circumspect, a Spire being piloted by Jacob 5. We have a carronade on the front, with a mine launcher to complement, and a flamethrower on both the port and starboard. Aboard the Having a Blast, a galleon being piloted by Blinkenel. We have Gat on the port side with double Hwacha and a double Lumberjack on the starboard with another mine launcher on the top.
It appears we may already be feeding the Sarlacc pit.
Yes, indeed, Alexandria eating some serious fire from the flamethrower, getting stuck down in there. That balloon, yep, they have chem spray on it, just barely in time. We'll be able to survive just a little bit longer, but I don't know how much longer, though. The carronade is there on the front of the poke, and he is bumping down on the Alexandria. Wicked Goomba Stomp.
And here goes the hull armor. Here's the bounces. Here's the flamer. Oh, no. That's
And Hwacha for a good measure. Having a blast trying to hit the poke. Hits the engine column, but that's not what they need. Still, though, poke getting a little bit scared, going to pop up and leave the Alexandria to the deflationary policy.
But we've got a dust cloud moving in on the point as Red caps it.
Yep, Red has had it captured for a good 50 seconds now. This dust cloud is going to help out the deflationary a lot. They have plenty of control over their ship. They can keep everything repaired. That carronade is going to rip through the Alexandria.
They've lost both their side flamers, but they've still got that big main gun up.
Yep, British Grit eating some serious gap fire from the Having a Blast. That heavy clip allowing them to hit the Junker's hull, even from that distance. There goes the Alexandria. About darn time, bouncing around in the maw of the Sarlacc. British Grit going to be the next victim, it looks like. Armor's down. Balloon's not looking great. Hull takes a bump. Circumspect getting ripped apart by the poke. No real surprise there. When you get a close-range Pyramidion bearing down on a Spire, you can guess how it's going to turn out. Having a Blast, shifting fire over to the British Grit, but it is just one galleon outside of the point, facing down 3 red ships. I think Red's got a pretty good handle on this point for at least the next 30 seconds.
Yeah, the Red have got a lot of disable on their team. Some gap flight, some flamethrower, carronades, heavy carronades as well, and some mine launchers. That they're going to get that point locked down and not let anyone from the blue team get in there.
Yeah, they're going to need some mine launchers. Ooh, but that dust cloud coming in, going to disable a lot of the guns. This may be the opportunity that blue team needs.
And there's a bounce to the deflationary policy, stopping it from continuing the disable and having a blast.
Ooh.
And the Hwacha from the Alexandria coming in and getting rid of that. No, they didn't get rid of the front gun.
Mine hit with the on the Alexandria, going to send them down into the pit. They get the balloon up, but they have a couple burning components. They're going to need to get that under control. In the meantime, deflationary policy getting the worst end of the Circumspect. Ooh, look at that carronade. The carronade going to pop the balloon.
Well, we have got 2 red ships on the point from there. If we only had 1.
Now, they're doing okay. Alexandria is the only one that's really contesting it, but it's a little bit too far forward. Circumspect now turning in onto the point. The deflationary policy is a good distance away, but a good mine hit. Going to damage the Spire a lot. Takes a lot to get the Spire back up and running when you damage the components like that.
Oh, the Spire is a mobile weapons platform, nothing more. If you get rid of its weapons, it's kind of dead already.
Yeah, it takes a long time to move around the ship and get everything repaired. Alexandria coming up high, but the red ships are low. It's got to get down there and kill those red ships to get them off the point.
What's it got? It's got both carronade Hwacha both sides. Yeah, those are some decent arcs, but not enough for those angles.
Yep, not quite. Oh, but it looks like the red ships have actually dropped down too low. Alexandria managing to flip it. They've gone too low. They need to get back up. The Alexandria takes it. Oopsie daisy.
Oopsie daisy. So I think some people may have got a bit overconfident there. Or could have had the dust cloud moving in. So that dust cloud may have forced them to move to positions they may not have wanted to move to.
Well, it didn't really need to force them. They let it push them around, and so they lose the point for it. However, the poke is coming in. He has the carronade flamer there. Flamer is disabled. We're going to have to get it back up pretty darn quick, but it won't take too long.
Well, until they get rid of that Alexandria, no one's getting any points.
Yep, having a blast, staying a good long distance away. I don't see any blue ships coming in to assist the Alexandria. Something's got to happen from the blue team. What's the having a blast doing? He's just very leisurely making his way over to the point.
There still is quite a few mines outside that area going into the point, so they don't want to charge in there, especially with that cloud over the point, because they might run into a mine they didn't see.
Yep, absolutely understandable. Still, though, they're losing points right now. This is not the time for trepidation.
Oh, the Poke was able to drop the Alexandria down low enough that it didn't count as being on the point, and Red Team has kept the point again.
Yep, they had the British grit up high to make sure that when the Alexandria got dropped down low enough, they could retake it. Some nice maneuvering and coordination from the red team, and the Alexandria just getting ripped apart by the Poke. Not a whole lot of hull damage, though. British grit is going to have to take care of it now. But they have those 2 mine launchers on the side, and the Alexandria is too close. They're going to hit a mine.
I have to say, the deflationary policy is doing a job you don't see many ships do, and that is it's keeping 2 blue ships outside and unable to really shoot effectively into that control point.
Yeah, this isn't something that you usually see, but I think it works really well because you have a carronade fish that's really strong against both galleons and spires. Plus, the galleon and spire are both trying to use their longer range weapons, and so it's okay to have 1 ship off of the point, keeping 2 at bay in this case, letting the British grit and the Poke have their way with the Alexandria.
This is going to be. This seems to be a bit. I think blue team can still pull this back. I've seen teams come back from worse scores when it comes to maps like Desert Scrap.
Oh no, this game is definitely not over, but Blue's definitely gonna have to change up his strategy. British grit goes down. Alexandria doing some good work. I really don't like that gun loadout on that Junker. I feel like that is really hurting them on the point here. Poke coming in on the Alexandria, though, ready to avenge its fallen brethren.
Well, at the end of the day, the loadout on the Junker might be weird, but red is winning.
Yep, absolutely. Poke coming down, dropping down on the Alexandria, keeping its guns in arc. This is one of the really cool things about this particular dueling Pyramidion. You just keep the nose cone forward on him, and not only are you going to tap him down, you're also going to keep the guns in arc. Alexandria deep within the clutches of the Sarlacc pit. But the Poke is not keeping arc the way it needs to. Flamer comes out, lighting the engines on fire, trying to keep the Alexandria locked down.
Yeah, but the Poke lost its balloon from a carronade shot from the Alexandria, so now that's probably going to die. Oh, here comes the bounces. Will they get the hull armor up in time?
Abby the Rat making a huge mistake. That was a massive mistake, and it looks like Abby is going to pay for it. Poke eating Lumberjack. Balloon goes down again, dipping down into the Sarlacc pit once more, using Drogue Shoot to slow their descent. That might be what saves them. Balloon comes back up, but they are stuck. And the point's being flipped.
And points being flipped.
Poke gets dropped down too low, and the Alexandria is high enough to retake it. But the British grit comes in for the block. Blue still going to be denied the points that they have fought so hard for.
I don't think the score at the end of this game is going to show how close this game has been.
Maybe.
If the Alexandria can get a balloon pop on that British grit and drop it down far enough.
Ooh, may not have to be them.
There comes the Lumberjack shot, and there goes the balloon on the British grit.
Yep. Now, finally, the deflationary policy has been fought off, and the having a blast can manage to do something. I think the deflationary policy went in for that kill on the Circumspect, and that gave the having a blast the chance it needed
there goes the
to get some shots in. But
oh, there's a bounce.
Poke coming in on the Alexandria, though. It's at no hull, but its armor is still up. Poke making some huge mistakes, throwing out the kerosene when it really didn't need to. And that's going to make it difficult for it to keep its gun arcs. I feel like Abby is just not on his game.
Are we going to see an accidental Goomba stomp by the Alexandria here?
Potentially.
It's close.
Not quite. British grit going to get bumped a little bit, but its guns are going to be an arc. I haven't seen the British grit fire very many shots this game. Not even mines.
Ooh, there's a few bounces.
The Poke using the British Grit as a battering ram. It's like, hey, you're not going to shoot any guns. I'll just use you as my battering ram to keep me alive. Though the Poke's armor not looking good. It's burning away. If it bumps the Circumspect, it's dead.
Oh,
there
and
it
there goes the
goes. Yep, and now the British Grit is left all alone. Deflationary policy coming in, trying to keep the blue team from taking the points again, going to nudge the Spire, but it's going to put itself in a very compromising position. Carronade going to take out the balloon. Flamer going to light everything on fire.
This is
Watcher comes
there
out.
goes the Watcher. There goes the Hull armor. They've lost a
And
lot.
it's going
Oh,
to
there
drop
it goes.
down into the geometry. British Grit still not looking to be doing very much here.
Well, until they get on that point, the British Grit is probably going to recap it at this rate. No, there is the block. The block by
Oh,
Jacob.
just barely. The Speedy Spire getting in there just in time. Now it's going to turn on the British Grit. There's no hope for this Junker. It doesn't have the loadout that it needs to deal with a Brawling Spire, which is kind of odd to say. I feel like everything should be able to deal with a Brawling Spire.
Well, the Brawling Spire's got the rotation speed
Ooh.
needed to just sit in this point and face anyone that comes in.
Yep, it is going to be very difficult for the red team to get this point back now that the blue team
Oh,
has
here comes
managed
the
to
Poke
take it.
for a ram. There we go.
wants
Oh, that may
That's
have
the
been a
block
bit-
in. Armor's
Oh.
down. Circumspect bounces. Bounces too far back. And again, Abby overshoots. I wonder if Abby's lagging. This is just happening over and over again. Armor goes down. Balloon going to get taken down on the Circumspect thanks to the deflationary policy. He's come back in for his regular prey.
And
Ram
the
goes
ram,
out.
And there's the death.
There he goes. Red team going to take control of the point once more. Alexandria too far back, I think, to really contest it. 2 red ships on the point. They're capping it. Alexandria coming in. Maybe he'll be able to do it. There it is. There's the block. Just barely, but he's put himself in a very bad position.
I don't think
Prepared.
Alexandria's got the perma-hold to keep this up.
Yeah, I don't think so. Poke turning on to the Having a Blast. The Poke's eating Watcha. Armor stays up just barely, but its
But
engines are down.
Missing a few weapons and now taking perma-hold damage.
Yeah, I think those are just the lower deck weapons. One of them is Flamer's down. They need to get that back up quick.
Because that's a lot of their disabling power, because against the Galleon, if you can't get them off those big guns. Ooh,
Yep.
and the deflationary policy takes a nasty hit to its engine column. Nothing disabled, but probably some damage.
Yep, they're going to be okay. Deflationary policy turning in on the Alexandria. A little bit of flamethrower going out there, but it's going to go in on the balloon. In the meantime, Poke still having a bit of trouble with these ships. And again, the British Grit not doing a whole lot. Not even firing any shots, really. Poke
Well,
getting the worst end of the Circumspect.
Well, that may have something to do with the British Grit lost all its weapons to a Watcher burst.
Oof, there it goes. Gat coming out. Going to take out the armor. It's a sitting duck. Watcher was held onto just long enough, bringing that hull down to about 1/4. Deflationary policy in Alexandria, in the meantime, still kind of nudging each other.
Oh, here goes the Alexandria. Oh, is it? Yeah, there it goes. Oh, no.
And not quite. Flamethrower on it.
Oh, there's the armor. But there
Yep,
goes the
and one more bump in the Alexandria. If the armor goes down, they're nudging them into the geometry. Balloon goes down immediately. But the balloon on the deflationary policy has been popped. It's going to be in a bit of trouble, especially with the Circumspect bearing down on it like that. The Poke just barely alive, and the British Grit dead.
The Poke
Red team not
again.
looking great.
Poke forcing the Circumspect out of our kick, coming in with that Carronade Flamer combo. And there goes the armor on the Circumspect, and there's the ram for the kill.
Having a blast now has an arc on the Poke. It wasn't there soon enough, but now they may have a chance. Popping that balloon. They just need one more hit. One more hit will throw them down into the Sarlacc pit. But it's not there. They're having too much trouble. They have the, that's funny, they have the Drogue Shroot ready. It's actually been deployed right now.
Yeah,
Just in case the balloon goes down.
anticipating that lumberjack shot to pop the
Yeah.
balloon. Lumberjack has switched targets to deflationary policy, but it's going to be forced out of arc due to that balloon pop.
Yep, deflationary policy coming up. Carronade coming out. on the Alexandria. And the British
team-
Grit finally gets some merc shots in. Alexandria taking down the half hull, half armor, I should say. Excuse me. Very big difference. Red team, though, managing to pick up the point. Alexandria dropped down too low for too long. Huge ram coming out. Not going to do a whole lot, though. Just going to pop the balloon to the deflationary policy and throw it down, putting it at the mercy of the Having a Blast. But still, the poke is on the Alexandria, lighting everything on fire. Karenay going into the balloon. This is not looking good for blue. Red team is only a couple of minutes away from winning this.
Yeah, and although the red team is doing well, I'd still like to see a bit more from the British Grit. It's been a very useful body on the point where red are trying to cap it, but it's doing damage, but I'd like to see more from a junker in this sort of map.
Yeah, I definitely agree. The British Grit is pretty much like I think the loadout is a really big problem here, but still, poke picking up that cross and carrying it, taking out the circumspect, trying to at least. Flamethrower coming out.
And the circumspect is actually was blocking shots from the Having a Blast, but it doesn't matter. The circumspect kills the poke and is probably going to start moving on the British Grit.
Yep, that Karenay just could not get a shot on the balloon, but the circumspect dropping down to try and fight the British Grit ends up bumping. It has no armor. It's taking hull damage. Lucas, what? I don't know. I'm not that worried about the circumspect, though. The British Grit getting its balloon popped by that lumberjack.
Yeah, that Having a Blast, they're not really being a body on the point, but getting the balloon pops when they needed and gets the kill on the British Grit.
But now the deflationary policy coming in, doing what it does best, tying up galleons and spires. Gets the ram on the Having a Blast, brings its armor down a little bit lower than it probably would have liked, but it is going to take down the balloon to the Having a Blast, and now it's going to turn on the Alexandria.
And blue is
team
now
has
on the
taken the point.
scoreboard.
Blue now is on the scoreboard, yes, as Rob says.
Is indeed circumspect a little bit low. Alexandria, plenty high. Deflationary policy, though, coming in all alone. The poke is a little bit behind. Oh, man! Circumspect hanging out a little bit too low there. They needed to camp that balloon, maybe buff it up to rise up a little bit. But as it was, they put themselves in too vulnerable of a position. Ram coming out from the deflationary policy, but
I think that was a forced ram by the deflationary policy by the poke going into the back of it a bit.
yeah, the galleon is so heavy and the goldfish is so light. Didn't do a whole lot to the Alexandria, but now the poke, Goomba stomping him down into the Sarlacc pit and now backing up a little bit to try and get those guns in arc.
Got the
Doing a pretty good job of it.
British Grit moving onto the point here, and you got the Having a Blast putting in some support fire, trying to hit the poke or the deflationary policy's balloon with that lumberjack.
Look how fast that point is being flipped to the Alexandria so low. British Grit just needs to be a body right now. That is two people on the point.
Deflationary policy's balloon is gone. It's losing quite a lot of hull armor for these bounces.
Yep, absolutely. The deflationary policy has put itself in a very compromising position, but the Alexandria has been forced into an even worse one. Policy rising up, getting hit by the lumberjack, though. It's trying to back up and out of the Sarlacc pit, and I think it's going to be able to. Some nice piloting coming out from Melvin.
And there's a mine hit on the circumspect as red flips the point.
Just barely. The British Grit needs to get back onto that point. The poke is a little bit low. Circumspect put itself in a compromising position to try and block it, but it came in too little too late, and now it's just going to get the worst of the poke. Circumspect taking fire. There it goes.
Whose tar cloud's that?
Taking too long.
Was that the circumspect tar cloud? I didn't quite catch who did that.
It may have been. I mean, it's in the right position for it. Having a blast, eating some fire from the deflationary policy, and we have hit the point of no return. Red picking up a victory against the blue team. Blue team only getting 76 points, but still, well fought, very well fought from both sides. The score can be a little bit... it doesn't always necessarily tell the full story in these games.
I find it counter it's very true that sometimes the score will show one story and the players will tell you another.
Absolutely. Still,
especially in this match, this was very close. The red team probably made a few too many mistakes, but then the blue team maybe didn't catch up on them as much as they should have.
Yeah, I
But-
feel like the having a blast wasn't really doing enough in that area in that game. Like every so often it would pop a balloon, but most of the time it was just struggling against the deflationary policy, trying to get guns into arc, getting body blocked by its allies.
Ooh, and here's a 3v3 Fjords. This is going to be interesting.
3v3 Fjords is always really odd and very aggressive, oddly enough. Nothing really methodical about 3v3 on Fjords. I think having that extra ship really changes up the game.
Oh, yeah. I mean, 3v3 allows you to have a lot more specialization in your ship.
Mhm.
You can change up what's on it. You can actually go for ships purely for disable without having to sacrifice a lot of your killing power, which you sometimes have to do in a 2v2 situation.
Mm-hmm. This comes up every so often. Dan and I, a good long while back, we remember seeing a flakfish, and I believe it was like a double Gatling forward Pyramidion. And if either of the ships got tied up in a fight, then it just fell apart. Like the entire composition fell apart. They both of those ships had to be trained on the same target and not be locked down. Both of them had to be in perfect working order for anything to happen. In 3v3, you don't have to worry about that as much. You have a whole other ship, which affords you the possibility of specializing a little bit more.
Yeah, it seems that the latest patch has kind of shifted the meta a lot more than I thought it would do.
I think like
Even-
the flamethrower has always sort of been an iffy choice, but with these changes, it's changed a lot. I think that it's changed a lot.
Well, it's more than just a flamethrower, because you got the flamethrowers
Yeah.
coming in the short range scenarios. What's also happened is due to the buff to the flak, the
Yep.
medium range has gone away from being Artemis's, which means
Yeah.
those medium range builds are suddenly missing shatter damage.
Mm-hmm. You
So-
end up with ships trading a lot more fire. It's starting to look a little bit more like Assassin's Creed Black Flag in the Sky.
Yeah, it seems to be that you've got more. The medium range builders are just for that straight. We're going to kill them quickly, because nothing kills quite as beautifully fast as a well aimed light flak.
Yeah, especially combined with the Hades. It's kind of funny that the Echidna buff comes now because what's happened? A little history of recent history of meta. It used to be that the Artemis did so much damage and it was so accurate, and the missile speed was so fast that you could just have 3 Artemises or Artemi, and you do fine. It'd be perfect. And that's what you saw all of the high level teams doing. But then when the Artemis got nerfed, it was still a good weapon, but it needed something else. It needed something else to shred away the armor. And so the Hades was picked up. And up until this point, people have been practicing with the Hades and the Artemis a lot. And we've ended up with some really excellent Hades gunners stepping up and being incredibly, incredibly powerful. We've seen the power on the Mandarins. The Mandarins have some of the most amazing Hades gunners. It's unbelievable. We see similar stuff from the Gents too. The Gents have always been good shots, but they're also up there. So we have a bunch of really strong Hades gunners. But now,
This game always surprises me when it comes to doing the poetry that is shooting some of the guns in this game. People never cease to amaze me.
yeah, absolutely. The level of skill that we see from these competitive players is amazing. But now we have really good Hades gunners, but now we have the Echidna. And so you have highly skilled Hades gunners suddenly given this new tool for killing. The sort of kill potential just from sheer skill with these guns alone is going to be phenomenal. I mean, especially when we start when we see people picking up the Echidna more. The Echidna is already, you know, not a difficult gun to pick up, but we're going to be seeing some stuff from some pretty serious ranges, I think,
Well,
coming up.
I remember back in the day when the Echidna had no arming time, where it used to be Gatling flak was the meta for the front of the Pyramidion.
Mm-hmm. What's important to note as well is they pulled in the arming time for the Echidna, so now it'll explode a little bit sooner, significantly sooner. So you're going to be seeing. Did you see the water hazard game? Were you watching that?
No, I was indisposed at that point.
Okay, so what was happening was I was doing a little bit of theory crafting earlier. I saw a Pyramidion with a Hades and Flak, and they were engaging at a closer medium range, and it was really interesting to see because all of these Hades shots were landing so easily, and then the Echidna came in, and each of them was landing so easily. It's like there's this perfect optimal range for the Hades Echidna, and that range isn't shared by any other gun combination I can think of.
When it comes to the hype flak, I've seen quite a lot of people running due to both the for maximizing the DPS output of it, combined with countering this close range flamer meta that's starting to develop. Like the meta starting to develop. Anyway. So heatsink, buffed heatsink is becoming a thing because it just gives you that it lowers the arming time a bit, so you can get in when they rush at you close range, you can still get that damage output. You've got that way larger clip that gives you a lot more shots, and the buffing kind of negates the negatives.
Yeah, it's really powerful. It's really interesting to see how these players are approaching the meta, and that's sort of something that's been happening a lot more with this game as the really high level players start recognizing that certain things are powerful. They start developing counter strategies. I think up to this point we've sort of seen teams go more, you know, oh, we like this thing, so we'll use it because it's useful. But now we're starting to see more metas form, more common things come out. And not only that, but we see the meta shift as time goes on, as competitive teams find new things that are powerful and learn how to use them. It's this kind of thing that makes an esport really exciting, in my opinion, is the shifting, flowing metagame. And it's just another reason to get into Guns of Icarus. So if you're watching and you're on the fence about getting Guns of Icarus and playing it, now is probably the best time I've ever seen to get into it. Partially because of the meta really beginning to develop and seeing these high-level players come up, but also because the patches to the games, especially recently, have really boosted the game's potential.
And of course, if you ever feel like meeting some of the more influential people, for lack of better words, in the community, the Iron Fork is always a good place to start.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is the meet and greet of Guns of Icarus. Anyone can join, so you're going to find anyone coming in.
Mm-hmm. Looks like we're going to be getting underway pretty soon.
Yeah, speaking of quickly of other Guns of Icarus events, Polaris is going to be coming back to the game sometime soon, if they haven't already.
Oh my!
And they're going to be doing another one of their big events between some of their YouTubers.
Oh, nice. Very nice. Well, we are that is coming up, but right now we have a game for you guys. It is going to be on Northern Fjords, very wide open, but it has a lot of cloud cover, so flares get seen pretty commonly. We have a couple big spots of cover behind mountains that get used quite a bit. Also, some arches. We see a fair few number of arches, like you see on your screen right now. That get used for cover very, very creatively. And ambushes happen quite a bit on this map. Surprising amounts coming out. Lucas, why don't you go ahead and take us through the red ships?
Well, we have the VSS Circumspect changing out to a Lumberjack Spire with a Hades light flak and mine launcher as the other weapons. We have the Poke, still maintaining that Flamer Carronade with Flamer mine launcher sides. And of course, we have the Alexandria with Watcher Carronade with a mortar. On the other side, we have a Watcher and a Carronade. And on the back, we have another mortar.
And for the blue team, we have the Boopacorn, a Pyramidion being piloted by Igtril. It has a Carronade Flamer on the front, something that's become a lot more common since Overwatch started using it, and a Banshee and Flare on the port side. We have the Queen's Oven, a Junker, being piloted by Mela McCrabbernathie. It has a mine launcher and Banshee on the port side with another Banshee on the front. Very different there. And a double Carronade on the starboard for some quick balloon popping action. And we have the Calzone, rather amusingly entitled Mobula, being piloted by Blinkenau. On the top, we have a Hades. On the lower decks, we have a pair of Echidnas. And on the far outer wings, we have a Flare and a mine launcher.
And already here we can see what normally you can see a lot of the tropes that happen with Fjord. You've got one of the red ships going for that wide flanking maneuver. I suppose the blue ships are trying to stay together in a group.
Alexandria getting hit by the Queen's Oven. It's come out a little bit far. The Poke is coming in for defense, but the Circumspect is so far away, I'm not sure it's going to have a whole lot of bearing on this upcoming fight.
No, I think
here comes the Boopacorn.
Boopacorns everywhere.
Oof, that Banshee ripping through the hull of the Alexandria. That balloon is not staying up, neither is that hull. There it goes again. Banshee being saved.
If it's not broken on the Alexandria, it's on fire, and that's kind of sums up its fate.
That is terrifying. No support from the Poke. A little bit too scared. It has been spotted by the flares, and it's going in. No, it's going to bump the geometry. Going to bring its armor down to about 2/3. Now the timer is on, and it is coming in onto the blue ships. The Boopacorn getting the flames real hard, but the Calzone and the Queen's Oven are there for defense. Oof. Armor goes down, though. Hull taking damage. They got to do something about the Poke quick. Mine comes out. Nice mine hit. But it is going to damage the Boopacorn as well. Brings the hull down very, very low. But the Poke will get ripped apart.
Yeah, once the hull goes down to that Boopacorn, all you need to do is so much as flick it and it'll disintegrate.
Yeah, at this point, that is not optimal for such a close range ship.
No, it is not.
Calzone turning over on the Circumspect. Circumspect really wants to do something about the Boopacorn. That ship knows that it's low. Alexandria coming in wide.
I think. Oh, was that the Boopacorn hitting its own mine?
It's possible. Calzone throwing out flares, not going to do much for itself. That one detonated a little early.
I have to say the Calzone is in a situation, rather weird position here, because if it gets hit by a lumberjack shot by that Circumspect, it could start sinking very, very fast. Although the Poke's coming in from below, hitting that balloon. Of course, the balloon being a very weird position on the Mobula, meaning you have to change your tactics.
Get the Poke. Oh, Calzone getting rammed by its own ally, the Boopacorn, throwing it into the Poke, and that is not where the Calzone wants to be. The Poke did a good job of pulling the Calzone off the Alexandria, but the Queen's Oven is there for support. Now the Poke is left alone with the Boopacorn and the Calzone. However, both of the aforementioned ships are not looking good on hull.
I think the Circumspect is trying to do the right job here. It just needs to be a bit more accurate with those lumberjack shots.
Boopacorn needs to not be booping with its horn right now. It does a bump, just barely keeps its armor up, throws out a nice tar cloud.
Oh, it nearly hit a mine there, but it doesn't matter because there's the Circumspect with the kill.
Man, that's awful. It's like coming out of a melee, all tired, hot, and sweaty. You're just like, oh, okay, finally get a break. And then there's just this big burly guy that walks up to you and punches you in the face. That's just dandy.
I wouldn't describe the Spire as a big burly guy myself, but to each his own.
I don't know. Maybe it's a scrawny guy with a really big gun.
Life lessons with Fourth Oracle.
Yay. Calzone getting booped in the face by the poke.
And there goes
And it's
the
gonna go
Calzone.
down.
Circumspect. Circumspect is being caught out by the Boopercorn here, and might end up coming out of this a bit worse for wear. There goes the armor on the Circumspect, but the Boopercorn misses the ram.
Yep, overshoots just a little bit, but now it's going to get the flamer. Look at that, he's just spraying it all over. I like this pattern on the flamethrower. That's pretty great. Giving every component on the Circumspect a little bit of love. Carronade coming out. They're just targeting the hull. They want to keep that armor down so that these rams do as much damage as possible. Armor not coming back up, and the Boopacorn gets a Boopa kill. 5-2 in favor of the blue team. Blue team really running a clinic on red here.
Blue team is a bit kind of spread out at the moment, though, and running into mines as well.
Yep, Calzone making a bit of a misstep there. It's coming in to try and help its ally, the Boopacorn, but the Alexandria is hiding in the clouds, ready to jump on it. Are they going to see each other? I think the Calzone's too low.
I have to say, due to the recent cloud sinking that happened in the patch, where everyone sees all clouds that everyone else has, there seems to be a slight increase in the amount of clouds on a map.
Yeah, it helps make more sense of things. I think it's a good thing. It definitely helps. We got to make the flare a bit more viable, perhaps. Boopacorn coming in on the Alexandria, throwing out some serious fire. What's lit on fire? Almost everything, but not too much. This could still be dealt with, but not if the Banshee comes out. Ugh.
I think
80s on the Boopacorn.
Well, the problem with fire on a modular is you've got to have your engineers run to every component on that modular, putting it out. And the modular is so spread out on its component placement that takes a lot of legwork by an engineer.
Mm-hmm. Still, it makes for a very efficient repair scheme.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
The
no, there's
poke
some more
coming
flavor
in.
coming up the Calzone.
Yep, the Calzone in a fair bit of trouble. Not
Poke
going to
is-
Goomba Stomp. Look at that vertical mobility on that ship.
Yeah, and the poke hitting a bit of geometry there, causing it to maybe lose arc when it should have had it. Getting some damage there on its hull. Probably its hull's going to burn away now, and
Yep.
here comes the Banshee,
Oof.
doing a lot of hull damage.
Double Banshee just absolutely hurts from this range. Queen's Oven taking a little bit of flame. Not a huge deal. One stack of fire on a bunch of different components. Doesn't matter a whole lot. Poke, though, losing its balloon. Going to drop down. And that's going to force him out to safety, actually. Calzone going to follow him down, though. It could be dangerous, though, if the Calzone keeps going.
What's the pilot on the Calzone got? He's got Drug Shoot, Phoenix Explorer, and Kerosene.
Alexandria losing its balloon. Queen's Oven keeping that fire going from the Banshees. Man, the Banshee is just such a versatile weapon. It does just about everything.
Banshee's a weapon I wish I saw more of. Because it's one of those weapons you're thinking it does fire and explosive damage.
It's
That's right.
weird.
It's a very, very unique weapon.
Queen's Oven not looking good. Circumspect eating a lot of
There's the
fire.
round.
There's the bounce. Yep, bounce off on the mountain. Queen's Oven getting the worst end of the poke. But the Boopacorn is here for defense. Alexandria going to have to deal with his boopiest of corn.
No, the Boopacorn is actually changing to the poke, trying to get it off the Queen's Oven and give some support to their ally.
Oof, Queen's Oven getting rammed into the mountainside. It is in a lot of trouble. The poke gets its guns thrown out of arc, though. Boopacorn saving its ally just barely. Queen's Oven going to fight another day, and the poke is lowering down. Its weak side is facing toward the Queen's Oven, and it's going to give a nice arc to him. The hunter has become the hunted as the poke gets dropped down into this lattice work.
And
There
there's
goes.
the blue team win.
There we go. You don't see people bottoming out on Northern Fjords a whole lot.
It all depends on the loadouts. Because it also
Still.
depends on the positioning of the map. I mean, the side with the bottom edge with the water is a lot higher flight ceiling than the other end of the map. That end has got the very high slope, almost the glacial front, so to speak, where it's a lot higher up. You've got the mountains up there. So it's, again, it's where you fall and how you fall.
Mm-hmm. So right now you're talking about that Flamer meta, Flamer Pyramidians. Nice and powerful, but I really want to see more Hades Flak. I think that's going to be the order of the day. The kill potential on it's too high.
Now, once Hades Flak becomes a thing, it means that, of course, Mercury Artemis is probably going to become a thing. Because that's a lot of shatter damage at a very long range.
I think it's going to... I think that both are going to have their niche, and I think it's going to depend a lot on the map. What we're starting to see now is because teams are getting so good that the meta is starting to come in more, they're also going to have to look at the map specifically to see, which map is good for what. If for example, if they're doing Battle on the Dunes, you're probably not going to see Hades Echidna. You're going to see Merc Artemis more often, paired up with stuff like the Heavy Flak or the Lumberjack, stuff like that. But you're going to see other loadouts on different maps. I think that teams really need to start being more sensitive to the maps instead of running the same loadout over and over again. Or they need to pick loadouts that are good on every map. That's something that the Mandarin has done with their double junker setup.
Well, double junker still has its weaknesses, but again, it's all about counters and counters to counters, and I think the recent balances have kind of done something to the meta, which I've been looking forward for a while, which is actually widening the viability of what loadouts can be taken.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just no longer being, okay, everyone's going to be taking Gatling mortar, Piras, and Hades double Artemis junkers and all this. It's actually starting to recently, even before this patch, it's really starting to spread out and show that people are starting to find not only loadouts that work, but loadouts that work for them.
Yeah, and that's something that Muse has done a really good job on, I think, is balancing the game just right. Understanding what's been too strong, what's been too weak, and balancing those out accordingly. And we're starting to see the fruits of that, I think, of all of this really careful, balancing that's been going on. So, through all of the annoyance, people being skeptical of Muse, in the end, they did a really good job. And
we've still got more weapons on the way.
Yeah.
Because we've got...
I'm excited.
What's the development name you've got? It was mentioned quite a while ago in a few dev firesides. You've got the Splinter and the Beanbag weapons being made.
Mm-hmm.
So that should be interesting weapons to the meta when those get introduced.
Mm-hmm. I think that's going to be it. We have hit the end of our time on the Iron Fork.
Just in time to get out before Anglian Raiders. No complaints there.
Okay,
after 2 hours of Iron Fork, I don't think I can take an Anglian Raiders.
That'll be the next 2 hours, won't it?
Yeah. All right, well, thank you very much for stepping in, Lucas, and thank you for covering for me when my computer decided to...
Well, someone's got a cover for you.
Last time on Anglian Raiders Z.
Yeah, then you just see all the ships charging toward the point.
And then the
next time.
Oh, goody.
Thank you very much, everyone, for hanging out. That's going to be it for the Iron Fork. Of course, the lobby will still be up if you want to join in. The Iron Fork usually goes on a little bit longer than its official scheduled time.
Just because the stream is over doesn't mean the lobby is.
No, party all day. Oh, whatever.
Oh,
So-
golly, singing.
So, what do you guys have planned for streaming adventures this evening?
I'm not streaming tonight. I actually am going to be editing a comic for someone.
Really?
Yeah.
What comic is that?
I got picked up by a startup comic company to do writing for them.
Oh, nice.
Ooh.
Yeah, they're starting up. They're making their first comics, but the talent is amazing. And I'll have to show you guys when there's more of a completed product. But it is looking absolutely phenomenal.
Well, it is currently about 20 seconds to midnight here in glorious old England. So I'm probably very soon going to be thinking about going to sleep.
All right, that sounds like a plan.
And for me, I'm
Yeah.
going to go and have dinner, and then I may or may not jump back on the stream tonight.
All right, so don't hold your
Well,
breath, I guess. Then, huh? What were you thinking of streaming?
Well, I did jump back into World of Warcraft. But I
Oh
also
my.
know that no one really cares to watch me play World of Warcraft, so I might jump back into do a little bit of Heroes of the Storm, brush up on that a little bit more, or Binding of Isaac, or actually no, I should jump back into Trials Fusion.
Ooh, Trials is fun.
Trials is it's entertaining to watch.
Mhm.
I may not find it enjoyable to play. I find it a bit frustrating myself, but it's entertaining to watch.
Though Hawken just got a patch.
Flamethrowers.
No, they
No.
didn't do flamethrowers. I'm sorry.
Hawk in the
I mean-
flamethrower.
Didn't you get enough flamethrower today?
No. Can never get enough flamethrower.
I'm
There's the
starting,
incinerator.
Yeah, good point.
I'm starting to think Rob may have spent a bit too much time around members of Cake here.
Yeah, maybe a little bit. Let's see. They changed up the Grenadiers ability though,
Yeah.
and they added the G2 Raider.
Oh,
Which is a
the
new mech.
G2 Raider, new mech.
All right, well,
I'm going to have to bid you gentlemen farewell, have
All right.
fun, and, well, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, whatever it is where you are.
Well, actually, let's do this right. For Dan, I have been Rob. For myself, he has been Dan.
and I've been over here in the corner sucking my thumb.
You have been Oracle.
And I
Yeah.
have been literal Lucas.
Literally, Lucas.
Yes, I have been.
Yes,
Thank-
indeed, sir. Thank you very much. And in place of Dan, good night now.